Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everybody to the Bronx Sports Jab Network. I'm your host, Austin Cruz with the MMA Weekly Podcast. Chef Dan might be joining us later on. If not, there'll be just me solo tonight. Chef Dan definitely works hard and does a lot. So we'll see if hopefully Chef Dan can make it. We all enjoy Chef Dan. I enjoy doing the show with him, but like I said, we'll see if he's able to come on tonight. If not, then I'll just like I said, it's just me solo. And hopefully everybody had a good Thanksgiving week and good week overall. And lastly, there was no Bellator, no UFC, but this week is totally different. We got a lot of combat. We got a lot of MMA to talk about this tonight, which we're going to do. I know there's a big boxing fight between Timothy Lopez and George. Hang on, let me double check because I don't want to butcher his name. George Camboso Jr. and George Camboso Jr. won his fight against Timothy Lopez, pulling what some call an upset as he wins the WBA, IBF, WBO, and rings lightweight title from Timothy Lopez in New York over the weekend. So we'll give a shout out to him. Congratulations for his victory. And before we go break down to the MMA, you can listen to us on podcast platforms like Anchor FM, Spotify, Podbean, Reason FM, Buzzsprout, etc. So if you're driving to work or maybe you're at the gym or riding your bike, whatever, definitely you don't want YouTube to drain your battery. Listen to us on audio on these podcast platforms I just mentioned. And we appreciate, anyone that listens to us, whether you're on the podcast, watches on YouTube. We all appreciate us. Me, Chef Dan, my dad, Kevin. We all appreciate it. Everybody on the Bronx Sports Network, JEDI, Bronx Sports Network. We definitely appreciate that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, tuning in, and let's get started. Let's start with Bellator because this is the last Bellator event of the year. I didn't realize this until yesterday that Bellator is holding its final event this weekend, and they're ending it with a good note, especially the main event. I mean, I really like this main event. This might be the second best Bellator main event behind Pitbull and McKee that happened in July in the featherweight tournament. Excuse me, there. In the main event of this card, it's going to be Sergio Pettis taking on Kyoji Horiguchi for the Bellator bantamweight title. Now, for those of you who may not remember, Horiguchi was the Bellator bantamweight champion back in 2019. He beat Darren Caldwell in Madison Square Garden for the belt, and he never lost the title. He relinquished it because he got an injury, and he knew he was going to be out for a while, so he relinquished the title. And Juan Archuleta won the title. I forget who Juan Archuleta beat. I don't remember, but Juan Archuleta won the title. Oh, I think he beat Patchy Mix. That's what it was. He beat Patchy Mix, and then Juan Archuleta this past May defended the title against Sergio Pettis and lost to Sergio Pettis. And Sergio Pettis is now the bantamweight champion, going against Horiguchi, who's trying to get his belt back. And Pettis did mention in an interview this week. I don't remember if it was MMA Junkie or Ariel Horny's MMA Hour show. He mentioned that basically he feels like he's been like a babysitter holding the belt that belongs to Horiguchi until now, and Horiguchi feels like talked about on the Bellator Countdown show, which if you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. Which I didn't realize Bellator did a countdown show until like the other day, which I'm glad they're doing because I think that's a good thing because especially being on Showtime, they have their all access show. Bellator doing something similar definitely is a good thing to help promote the fights. But Horiguchi feels like he feels like that's still his belt, and basically he never lost it, and still feels like he's one of the best fighters at 135 in the world. I think you said he might feel like he is the best, if I'm not mistaken. I don't want to say that's 100% certain because I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah, Horiguchi is very good. I mean, he's always been very good. Look at his UFC run and his whole career. He's been very good. I mean, he lost. I mean, unfortunately, people think of him getting dominated by Demetrius Johnson for the flyweight title, but Demetrius Johnson is one of the all-time greats. I mean, some call him greats of all time. I mean, no shame losing to DJ. DJ is phenomenal, and and the but Horiguchi has bounced back. Went on a 12-fight winning streak before losing to Kai Askura. I'll make sure I get his name right. Yeah, Kai Askura back in 2019. Even though that wasn't for the Rising Bantamweight title, which he also holds in Japan, the Rising Federation. He holds their Bantamweight title. And so he was a double champ. He was a champ of two different organizations, which I think he was the first of his kind to do. Well, actually, technically no, because technically Rampage did when he won the Pride belts, and he was the UFC light heavyweight title and beat Dan Henderson and united the Pride middleweight title and the UFC light heavyweight title. But in terms of two active, in terms of a guy who holds two belts in two major MMA organizations, Horiguchi was, I believe, the first guy to do that. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that, but I believe he was the first one. But yeah, he lost it to Kai Askarov, but then this December of last year, Horiguchi avenged that loss and knocking out Kai within the first round. Yes, in the first round, it was a great punch. I mean, he took Kai threw a knee to the but it only landed to the gut. Really didn't do anything, and Horiguchi just threw two right hands and finished him. So it was a great performance for him, getting revenge on the last guy to beat him, and now his sights set on Sergio Pettis, who this past May really got out of the shadow of his older brother Anthony Pettis, who for a long time Sergio was always viewed as Anthony's little brother who fought, but Anthony Pettis was always the big guy, the big the big brother of the two. Well, obviously not just age wise, but just his stature in MMA. I mean, Anthony Pettis was the former UFC lightweight champion, the guy in the Wheeze box, Hall of Fame career, very most entertaining fighters probably in MMA history. And Sergio Pettis, by being Juan Archuleta's past May, becoming the Bellator bantamweight champion, finally got out of his shadow and established himself and his own legacy as a really good fighter. And now he's trying to build on that legacy, and being Koji Horiguchi would definitely help tremendously. The former bantamweight champion who never lost his belt. I mean, if Sergio Pettis can pull it off, I mean, this would be a massive victory for him, probably the biggest victory of his career. And Horiguchi comes to this fight 29-3, 15 KO and TKOs, 11 decisions, 3 submissions. So Horiguchi's has a karate background, but he trains at American Top Team, which is one of the best gyms we all know. If anybody knows MMA, American Top Team is one of the elite gyms in all of MMA, maybe the best one in MMA, arguably. You can make a case that AKA or Eagles MMA with Khabib and Javier Mendez, the kickboxing, etc. Either way, when you have your debate of best MMA gyms, American Top Team usually comes up, and it should, because I mean, look at the guys they have: Poirier, Amanda Nunes, Jorge Masvidal, Johnny Jacek, guys like that, and in the Bellator welterweight champion. Yaroslav Amsarov trains there also. I mean, they got some guys over there, and Horiguchi's been training over there, and definitely has a great gym and great coaches around him, definitely helping him out. And however, Sergio Pettis does train at another great gym himself at Duke Rufus MMA up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, who they produce champions from Anthony Pettis' older brother to Tyron Woodley, and and also Ben Askren over there. Was part of that gym when he was his run in Bellator and 1FC before going to UFC. Yeah, and also, but Duke Rufus, yeah, definitely a great trainer. Also, Rufus MMA, great gym also, definitely. And now Sergio Pettis comes into this fight at 21-5, 14 decisions, 4 submissions, and 3 KO TKO. So usually Sergio Pettis wins by decision. You rarely see him win by finish typically. That's not to say he's a boring fighter or a bad or not a good fighter or anything. That's not it at all. It's just that typically he wins by decision. Now Sergio Pettis does a lot. He's a very good hard worker. Does a lot of things right. Very good at mixing things. He tends to use a lot more wrestling than his older brother Anthony does. He tends to mix in his striking and his wrestling. He is a black belt in Taekwondo, just like his older brother Anthony Sergio. That is. So I'm interested to see. They're both got good strikers. Does Sergio Pettis try to go for takedowns and try to use that to his advantage? Oh, excuse me. Easier said than done, of course, because one thing about Horiguchi that I think is going to be a big factor in this fight is Horiguchi's fast. I mean, that dude is fast. I mean, he has a speed advantage, definitely over Sergio Pettis, in my opinion. And I do think that will play a big factor in this fight is that if Horiguchi can use his speed to get in and out and also, throw punches quicker than Sergio, especially since we know Horiguchi's got power in his hands, despite being a smaller, 135 guy. He used to fight 125 and success. I mean, that's the thing. If he can use his speed to his advantage, and that can definitely cause problems for Sergio. They always say it's the punches that you don't see that tend to knock you out. And I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks out Sergio Pettis, Horiguchi, considering he's got power and he's a quicker fighter of the two, in my opinion. It'd be interesting to see how that comes, especially the first round or two, how the speed comes. If that's a big factor in this fight. I do like to see what happens there. But also, if you're Pettis, I do want to see if Pettis can get a takedown. Maybe if Pettis can get a takedown, can he maybe use it to slow down Horiguchi? Get Horiguchi more tired, so that way if they do stand up on the feet, Horiguchi's speed's not as much as a factor later on in the fight than it would have been if in the early rounds. So that's something to watch out for. And I do, like I said, this is going to be a good fight. I mean, bantamweight is. And not just I'm not talking about Bellator, but UFC also. I mean, obviously UFC bantamweight division is probably their best division, arguably. Now you may argue Bellator's 135 division is their best division. I mean, 135 in both Bellator and UFC is just filled with a lot of talent, a lot of great fighters, a lot of fun fighters, talented guys. I mean, so many guys from Dillashaw and Rob Font, Jose Aldo, which we're going to talk about later on, of course. Corey Sagan, Pierre Yan, Aljamain Sterling. Despite how you feel about his last fight, you cannot deny Aljamain's a really talented fighter. Cannot deny that at all. The guys in Bellator like Warren Truleta, Sergio Pettis, Horiguchi, Patchy Mix, Rafion Stouts, and Magomed I'm forgetting his last name. Why am I forgetting his last name now? Patchy Mix and James Gallagher, if I didn't mention him already. But guys like that, and those guys are, there's talent in 135. And 135 is a talent-rich division in both Bellator and UFC. A lot of good fighters back. And also one championship. I mean, Demetrius Johnson fights at 135. And also the one champion, I'm forgetting his name right now. The one who knocked out Demetrius Johnson just back in April. He fights at 135. I mean, either way, 135 in MMA is probably arguably the best division, the most talent-rich division in all of MMA. Could definitely make the case. Adriano Morales, that's who knocked out Demetrius Johnson. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. My apologies there. Sometimes you gotta keep a lot of fighters, especially international fighters. You tend to forget their names, unfortunately, and I do apologize for that. And yeah, like I said, 130. This should be a good fight. This should definitely be a good fight on Showtime on Friday night, beginning at 9 o'clock. So if you want to watch this fight in the United States, Showtime at 9 o'clock Eastern time to watch this fight. And Magomedov, that's what I was thinking of in the Dagestani fight. That's Rafian Statsby also. Like I said, my apologies. Sometimes I forget the names because a lot of international fighters. I mean, that's the one thing about the sport that makes it so beautiful is that it's very international. A lot of different guys from all around the world can do well in this sport, which makes it fun to watch. Also on this card, I do want to talk about the co-main event between Manuel Sanchez and Jeremy Kennedy. Manuel Sanchez coming off, a two-fight losing streak. Granted, the fights he lost, one that was determined semifinals against Patricio Pitbull, who is, Pitbull is one of the best 145s in the world. I mean, there's no shame losing to him. And to Matt Burnell, who we learned Burnell is a legitimate challenger in this one Bellator 145 weight class. However, Manuel Sanchez is a very good fighter, especially stand up wise. Even though he's got 8 submissions and 11 decisions, don't that fully. He may not have power, he he can go out there and definitely is very good fighter, very good stand up when he's able to keep the fight standing. And you got Jeremy Kennedy comes to this fight 16-3, 6 KO, TKOs, 2 submissions and 8 decisions. That it's weird that considering this guy at one point was 3-1 in the UFC. His last fight he lost to Alexander Volkanovski, who's the current champion in UFC. Surprised the UFC didn't keep him. They just let him go. I don't know. Maybe they were impressed by his performances and stuff. But you would think, guy going 3-1, you might want to keep him around and not let him go. But hey, it is what it is. I mean, I guess it worked out at the end for UFC. UFC is doing fine. It's not like they need, they're doing all right. It's not like they need him or anything like that. And Jeremy Kennedy is coming off, I believe, a loss to Adam Boric, if I'm mistaken. Let me just double check to make sure. I know he fought Adam Boric not that long ago. Just want to make sure. Yes, his last fight was a loss to Adam Boric. Adam Boric is a stud. I mean, he's really one of the best 145ers in Bellator, who probably should deserve a title fight next. I mean, no shame losing to him. But before the Adam Boric fights, he had won 3 of his last 4 fights. He had a fight ruled. He had a loss ruled to a no contest again in the PFL against Daniel Pineda. But yeah, Manuel Sanchez and Jeremy Kennedy. It'd be interesting to see watching this fight. If because the last fight Manuel Sanchez fought, he seemed like he was trying to go for too many power shots. It seemed like he was trying to go for a knockout, and that might hurt him, especially in the second and third round against Matt Burnell. And I think Jeremy Kennedy looks like he probably is going to try to go for takedowns in this fight to see maybe to try to slow down Manuel Sanchez and try use what Matt Burnell did to his advantage. Not that Kennedy's as good as a grappler as Burnell, but it seems like there's a blueprint to beat Emmanuel Sanchez, especially after the last fight. And if you're Jeremy Kennedy, you might want to try that and see if it works. If Emmanuel Sanchez can stuff the takedowns, keep the fight standing, and not try to throw knockout punch every time you throw a punch, especially you don't have knockout power, you can. I mean, if he tries to keep it standing and not throw knockout punches, like I said, he has a great chance of winning this fight because Emmanuel Sanchez is very good and he showcased his skills time and time again throughout his whole career in Bellator. So that should be a fun fight to watch. And then you also got Johnny Ilbin against Colin Hugbody in the main card. You got Josh Hill going against Jared Scoggins, brother of Justin Scoggins of the UFC. They're both, that should be a good fight. But there's one before I move on to the UFC. There's one fighter I do want to mention that's fighting this Bellator undercard. That's Kyle Crutchmore. Kyle Crutchmore is 7-1. He's come up with victory in his last fight. Now, why am I talking about Kyle Crutchmore? It's because this guy's a 2-time All-American wrestler at Oklahoma State, and he's a Daniel Cormier protege in terms of his MMA career. Not just the fact that he went to Oklahoma State like Daniel Cormier, but also he trains at AKA, which Daniel Cormier trained at for all his MMA career. And this is a guy who, DC, DC Proj, I'm pretty sure DC works with him and things like that. Also, excuse me, I seen video of him training with the Dagestani guys, Khabib, Islam Makhachev, and Usman Nurmagomedov, and all those guys, all those studs over there that Khabib's got in his, group of Amigos MMA that trains at AKA. I mean, if you ever watch those videos of Khabib and them in AKA, he's always usually there with them. So I'm pretty sure he's trained with those guys. And when you train with those guys, I mean, you have, and you're a two-time American, your wrestling, grappling has to be legit, has to be very good. That doesn't mean you can't lose a fight because Kyle Crutchmer, did lose, not his last fight, but the fight before his last fight, he did lose. But he bounced back and got a victory. So, I mean, obviously, this is MMA after all. You need more than just wrestling to win fights. But Kyle Crutchmer is definitely a talented guy. A guy that I think everyone should watch out for. That I wouldn't be surprised if next year, I mean, who knows, if he fights wins this fight, may fight 3 times next year, could be a factor in that Bellator welterweight division, possibly in the title contention, in my opinion. Because I really do believe in this guy. I think when you're a 2-time American wrestler, you're training AKA, Daniel Cormier, I'm pretty sure, is working with you. I'm pretty sure Coach Javier Mendez, has worked with him in the past and probably has worked with him now. Obviously, if Coach Javier Mendez is back from Dubai in the Middle East. And also, you roll with the Dagestani guys like Islam Makhachev, Habib, and Islam Mamedov and Usman Nurmagomedov, all those guys. I mean, you have to be. I mean, you can see why I have high hopes for Kyle Crutchmer and why I believe he has to be really good, in my opinion. But yeah, that's a guy I think definitely watch out for in the prelims is Kyle Crutchmer. And yeah, I'm excited to see Bellator back again, especially since it's been, 3 weeks, I believe, since the last event, which was Cyborg and Kavanaugh in Miami, in South Florida. So, and this is the last Bellator card of the year, so let's see how it goes. Hopefully, it's entertaining fights, and that's all we can ask for. And we'll see Friday night at Showtime, 9 o'clock, and let's go from there to the UFC. Now, UFC is back after taking a week off for Thanksgiving week. And they're back with really excellent, a fantastic bantamweight main event. I mean, this is going to be freaking good. Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. I mean, wow. Man, Rob Font's been on a roll lately. He's won 4 in a row, come off a decision over Cody Garbrandt, where he just really beating on Cody Garbrandt, had him bloody too. And Cody Garbrandt's got good boxing, but Rob Font, man, his boxing really showed. It showed out very well against Cody Garbrandt, one of the better boxers at the division. I mean, he beat him up very good. Cody had his moments in that fight, but man, Rob Font just picked him apart and just gave it to him. Really gave it to him. And before that, he had an impressive knockout of Marlon Moraes in the first round. Ended up firing me to believe Marlon should have never came back and fought that because that was less than 2 months of getting spinning wheel kicked, knocked out by Corey Sandhagen. But nevertheless, still, Rob Font did what he was supposed to do. He knocked down Marlon Moraes in the first round, impressive victory. And also he has a victory over Sergio Pettis too, who's the current Bellator bantamweight champion. It's also something to point out as well. And Rob Font his boxing is. His kickboxing, and particularly his boxing, is very good. I mean, he trains at that gym, New England Cartel, I believe it's called, with Calvin Cater and some of the other guys over there. There's another guy from that gym, I forget his name, but who has potential. And Rob Font's really showcased himself. I mean, he's basically a guy that, with his victory with Jose Aldo, can definitely in the title discussion, possibly fight for the bantamweight title next. Especially as a great victory over the legend Jose Aldo. However, easier said than done because Jose Aldo is, like I said, one of the all-time great fighters in MMA history, who's come up 2 back-to-back victories over Pedro Munoz and Chio Vera and Pedro Munoz in that order. And although it seems like every time we think Aldo's run is over or he's done, he finds a way to remind us, no, he's still great. He still has still a fight left in him. And Aldo talked about how after the Pyongyang fight or before it, he was the whole pandemic and everything. He was considered basically retiring. Basically felt like he was done. But yeah, but I have to train with the Brazilian Navy, which I know it seems kind of weird, training with the Brazilian Navy, but the Brazilian Navy tends to have like a very good boxing program apparently. And after training with them, he feels like his career, his interest in fighting has been rejuvenated, which is very good because all those, especially if you're an old school fan watching this dude since WEC, he always brings. He's always a very exciting, very good fight, very entertaining fight to watch. And if you're all, it's great to see all those still fighting, still competing, still winning fights, despite being in the limelight, in the top of the 145 for a long time, now 135 since what '09. He's been one of the elite guys in his weight class, '08, '09. I mean, it just shows credit. All those still, no matter what, still a guy always dangerous, and this is a dangerous fight for Rob Font, despite the fact that he has to take his damages. Jose Aldo hasn't been as war as Aldo has. I mean, all those games. I mean, if you're not careful, he can finish you. And one thing I do want to see in this fight that I would like to see is if Jose Aldo does leg kicks early, because we all know Aldo has his leg kicks are some of the best leg kicks in the world. He has some of the. I mean, look at the Uriah Faber fight. He really messed up Faber's leg. Especially the image of Faber's leg after the fight. I mean, that was just nasty. Oof. But Aldo has been known to mess up dude's legs. I mean, he has probably the best leg kicks in MMA history. I mean, arguably better than Justin Gaethje's leg kicks, and that says something too. Gaethje's got great leg kicks also, and yeah, and it'd be interesting to see if he does those leg kicks early, especially against Rob Font, that can neutralize some, Rob Font's power and also his movement. I mean, that can really open up Rob Font to be hit by Aldo, who's been working on his boxing and he's really showcased it these last two victories, and that can really help him win this fight. Considering Rob Font is, his boxing is really and kickboxing is really legit. And if you can neutralize, Rob Font's legs and make it hard for him to move, make him an easy target. I mean, Aldo can definitely put some damage on Rob Font, and which is maybe finish him, maybe not. I mean, it could maybe who knows? Like I said, it's possible our guy can get finished, but also this could be a 5-round war or a decision where it goes to the judges' scorecards. I mean, this is really a great bantamweight fight. I mean, the winner of this fight is definitely in that top 4 conversation in bantamweight in terms of obviously Jan Stern have to sell their business. But after that, I mean, Dillashaw's waiting in the wings to fight for a world title. But whoever has a great performance here between Aldo and Font could definitely put themselves in that title picture to a point where they have to be talked about as fighting for the world title next, or possibly doing a title in there with TJ Dillashaw when Dillashaw recovers from his injury. I mean, like I said, I won't be surprised if any guy wins this fight because really they're both that good. I mean, it can go either way. I mean, I don't know what the Vegas odds are, but actually, you know what? Let me look at that right now because this is a pick'em fight to me. But just because I feel that way doesn't mean Vegas feels that way or fans feel that way. Let me just check. According to hang on, give me one moment, people. My apologies here. The following odds are courtesy of Bet Online. I'm about to read. Rob Font is a minus 135 favorite, and Jose Aldo is plus 115 favorite. So small favorite for Rob Font, not that big, which I think that's fair. That is fair, but still, anybody could win this fight. I mean, I'm just excited for Saturday night to see these two go a battle, man. I mean, hopefully delivers. Hopefully we get something very impressive, whether it be a knockout, submission, performance, or a great fight. I just hope we get that, and I think we're going to get that with these two guys fighting. And let me go from there to the co-main event, which is Brad Riddell versus Rafael Fiziev. His last name always gives me problems. Fiziev, Fiziev. 𝐓𝐡𝐞. My apologies for butchering his last name, but that last name, I don't know why it gives me problems. Both guys are in the top 15 of the UFC lightweight division, a very good, talented division. Especially both guys have the same record at 10-1, which is kind of strange. You really see guys with the same record fighting each other, in my opinion, especially in rankings. That doesn't happen that often. Rafael comes in with 6 KOs, TKOs, 1 submission, 3 decisions. And Barberena comes into this fight with 5 KOs, TKOs, and 5 decisions, which is not surprising considering Barberena trains out of City Kickboxing, and those guys are not known for a submission game. Not that they don't train submission, jiu-jitsu, all that, but let's be honest. When you think City Kickboxing, you think of kickboxing, and stand-up would be Israel Adesanya, Alexander Volkanovski, Dan Hooker, Kai Kara France, and Brad Riddell. I mean, kickboxing is definitely done a good job down there in New Zealand with their talent and having success in the UFC. Even though their days in New Zealand might be over considering what's going on over there, which I don't want to get into. That's a whole other story for another video. But yeah. But let's talk about. But yeah, Brad Riddell definitely is a guy that everyone's been high on. A lot of people have, whether it be the City Kickboxing guys themselves or media, fans, and I can see why. Because Brad Riddell is a really good fighter, a talented fighter, who watch him fight, look at him and go, man, this guy can go far in this division. Potentially, maybe who knows? 2023, wins 3 or 4 fights, put himself in title contention, possibly. I mean, he has that potential. I think he does. At Riddell, who I believe is on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. I mean, his confidence in the sky is sky high, and even though he's been winning, even though his last 5 fights have all been unanimous decision. I can see him getting a knockout potentially. I mean, if you're not careful, Brad Riddell can finish you, and also it's good that he's getting these decisions. He's getting octagon experience, especially as he gets up. If he wins this fight, moves up the rankings, may have more challenges. He may have obviously has tougher competition, and the experience might help him out. But also, I do want to mention Rafael 𝐓𝐡𝐞. Can't ignore him either. Guys ranked number 14, and he's on a 4-fight win streak, including beating Bobby Green, who looked good in his last fight against 𝐓𝐡𝐞. Who Bobby Green looked good his last several fights, but Rafael 𝐓𝐡𝐞 had was able to beat him, and Rafael 𝐓𝐡𝐞 is definitely a guy from Kyrgyzstan. So definitely, same place as Valentina Shevchenko, I believe. I think him and her are from the same country. I think she's from Kyrgyzstan. Could be wrong. Definitely not a guy to sleep on either. Definitely a guy who could definitely upset Brad Riddell and potentially establish himself as a potential dark horse in this ever-changing lightweight division. If you consider the lightweight division the last several years, you usually had like the same group of guys in that, in terms of the rankings, whether it be RDA and Cowboy, and Edson Barboza and Paul Felder, and McGregor and Ferguson and all those guys. Now you see a lot of those guys are either gone or retired or just falling off. Where it be like McGregor and Tony Ferguson, and RDA. We still don't know what's RDA's situation. Felder's retired, and who else the guy I mentioned? Cowboy. I mean, Cowboy looks like he's about to retire soon. Probably should. But yeah. Now you get new blood in this lightweight division. These guys are leading the charge. You got Joel Alvarez. You also got Islam Makhachev, of course, and other guys like that. I mean, this is like a new era of the lightweight division. New top faces in this division. These are 2 guys who are an example of it. Now, I personally think Brad Riddell might win this fight, just me personally, because City Kickboxing has been on a roll the last couple of years, and I do think they're going to continue that. But I'd be surprised if Rafael 𝐓𝐡𝐞 wins this fight. No, not really. I think he's talented enough to do it. But easier said than done. Either way, this should be a good fight. And I do want to mention another fight in this card that has my interest. That is in the light heavyweight division, Jimmy Crute versus Jamal Hill. Now, Jimmy Crute comes in this ranked number 13. Jamal Hill comes in ranked number 14. And Jamal Hill's 8-1 record. 8-1-1. Although the 1-0 contest I think is BS reasons because he was found having marijuana in his system, which is like it's not a PED, man. I mean, come on, really? Marijuana? We're gonna punch a guy for having marijuana in a fight when that's probably a bad idea to have, and you're hurting yourself doing that. But anyway, that's just anyway, the athletic commission sometimes are just stupid. I mean, let's just be real. You have but yeah, Jamal Hill with 4 KOs, TKOs, 4 decisions. And you got Jimmy Crute 12-2, 5 KOs, TKOs, 4 subs, and 3 decisions. Now, this fight is interesting because both guys were coming off some freaky bad injuries. I mean, Jimmy Crute, when he fought Anthony Smith back in April in Jacksonville, he got kicked by Anthony Smith, or he checked a kick or something. I forget. He landed it awkwardly, and his foot just collapsed, just gave out, and basically he couldn't really stand up. And he really couldn't stand up, and his foot looked bad. I mean, and he had to stop the fight, rightfully so. And basically, it was seen now as man, because Jimmy Crute is one of rising star contenders in that division, and it looked like he might be the next big Australian fighter, considering Australia's had a lot of talent. It looks like Australia and New Zealand, both the Oceania region, has done very well in MMA recently, with those Robert Whitaker, Volkanovski, Israel Adesanya, kickboxing, guys like that, etc. But that foot injury really hurt him, and I personally thought he might be out for a little bit longer. Granted, I didn't know too much the severity of it, but just based on looking at it, I thought, ooh, that's gonna be a problem for him for a while. But shows that it wasn't bad as we thought, and he's returning after 7.5 months after that injury. Now, Jamal Hill had also had a bad injury as well in his last fight back in June against Paul Craig in Phoenix, the UFC 260. I forget, 263, I believe it was. But I remember it was in Phoenix, the pay-per-view, the Israel Adesanya and Marvin Vettori card, and basically he got an armbar, if I'm mistaken, but his elbow dislocated, and yet the fight still kept on going, and it wasn't until Paul Craig used some elbow strikes the fight stopped. I believe that was a bad referee stoppage, if I'm mistaken. I'm trying to remember how the fight, I'm trying to remember why the fight wasn't stopped. I think it was bad refereeing decision there, but yeah, he had this dislocated elbow, which I thought, oof, it sucks for him because Jamal Hill was also on a roll also prior to that fight, and he got his elbow dislocated too. It was like, oof. I mean, he'd be gone for a minute. Kind of reminded me of Misha Tate and Ronda Rousey. If you remember the first fight where Misha didn't tap and Ronda had an armbar and Misha's elbow got dislocated, and that was not exactly a great sight to see. But yeah, I thought after seeing that he'd be gone for a while. So it's kind of interesting. It's good that he's able to return after 5 months from that and able to fight again. That's the thing I'm interested in to see is the injuries. I mean, how both guys respond to suffering some freaky bad injuries. How are both guys gonna be timid? Or both guys gonna go out there and trying to go all out and prove that I'm better, I'm healthy, that doesn't mean anything, or they fight like their normal fights. That's something to watch out for. I think that I definitely want to see from these guys is that factor right there. Is me personally. Now, who I think wins? I mean, I'm gonna go with Jimmy Crute. I think Jimmy Crute is a somewhat better fighter than Jamal Hill. Can Jamal Hill win? Yeah, definitely. But I just think Crute right now is a better fighter and was really on a roll before that injury against Anthony Smith. Send him back. Yeah, Jimmy Crute had won 12 of his first 13 fights prior to that. So, the fight that he lost before Anthony Smith was Misha Serkinov by submission, which Jamal Hill's not known for. I'm pretty sure Jamal Hill. I'm pretty sure Crew's been working at submission defense, obviously, and yeah, definitely a fun fight, light heavyweight division, a division that like I said, has had a resurgence. I've mentioned in the show before compared to a few years ago, and these guys can definitely play a part in keeping at the lightweight division, keeping it having that resurgence that I feel like it's been having the last several years. It'd be interesting to see how both guys respond to injuries. Also on this card, there is a fight between 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 and Leonardo Santos. Now 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠, for those of you who don't know, is the guy who's been around the game for a while and a very entertaining fighter for a long time. Now, me personally, I know it's not my call to tell a fighter when and when to retire because I don't know the circumstances, I don't know the financial situation. Plus, I don't know. Plus, if they still enjoy it, then if they still enjoy the training and the fighting aspect, then you can say keep going. But 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 is a guy me personally, I hope he retires. I hope this is his last fight because 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 is a guy he's been fighting the UFC since what 2000 at least '07, at least for sure. I don't know how long it's been exactly, but this guy was fighting on I remember him and Diego Sanchez had a fight a year in 2009. That was a title eliminator, if I'm mistaken, and Diego won. So he's been fighting UFC 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 since 2006. UFC 64, October 2016, beat Justin James by submission, rear naked choke. I mean, this guy's been around for a minute. I mean, you look at 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠, you think, oh, he's just some old guy who just fights, who's just nothing. Now he's not the guy he once was, but 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 was a really good fighter for a long time. Look at his victories. He has impressive victories over guys like Josh Thompson, Nate Diaz, Rafael dos Anjos. He broke RDA's jaw in the third round. That fight. That's what I remember from that fight. Looking back, Takanori Gomi by guillotine. Anthony Pettis when Pettis was the coming off the WEC and being their champion. And basically, if he had won that fight, he's probably gonna fight for the lightweight title next. I mean, showed Anthony Pettis had a great fight against Benson Henderson that Fox for some reason did not air. And when that was when that fight took place on the first ever UFC on Fox show, they just showed the Cain Velasquez and JDS fight, which that was that. I mean, it was a great knockout by JDS, but at the same time, that was the only fight they showed, and in a minute. Meanwhile, him and Benson Henderson had a great fight. They should probably, but anyway, I don't want to rag on too much about that. But yeah, this is a guy in 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 who's always had exciting and good fights throughout his whole career. Always been a fun guy to watch. And he's older fighter. He's 39. He's been fighting since 2003, so 18 years. I mean, I'll just see him retire me personally, but at the same time, it's not my I can't just obviously you can say I'm in no position to tell a guy when to retire, which fair point. But for his sake, it'd be great to see him stop fighting. But if he wants to keep doing that, it's up to him. Going against Leonardo Santos, who is an older fighter himself, he's actually 2 years older than him at 41, but doesn't have as many fights. His record is 18-4, with 𝐓𝐡𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 is 36-21. Leonardo Santos, started fighting in 2002, but then didn't fight again until 2006. And then basically after 2016 took a 3-year break, and then since then he's only fought once. Fought once. Not fought once, but fought once in 2019, 2020, 2021. Now, obviously the pandemic didn't help, but still, he come up with a loss to Grant Dawson by punches late in the third round. 1 second to go. But before that, he had been on a 6-fight win streak. Santos had. So interesting to see how two older fighters go out and fight. Whether they slug it out or just be technical. That should be an interesting fight to see. Also on this fight, the opening fight of the main card is Brandon Allen versus Chris Curtis. Brandon Allen is 17-4 with 9 submissions, 5 KO TKOs, and 3 decisions, so he tends to finish most of his fights. Against Chris Curtis, who's 27-8, 15 KO TKOs, 1 submission, 11 decisions. He's come off that impressive knockout of Phil Dawes in UFC 268 in New York City at Madison Square Garden, the Covington Usman card in the prelims. This guy has been waiting to get in the UFC for a while. I remember the post fight; he'd been trying to get in for a minute. Just kept fighting, finally got the opportunity, and he won his debut fight, an impressive victory, and an upset too, a very big upset, because everyone thought he was going to lose. I mean, a lot of the people in Vegas thought he was going to lose. Not just everybody, but a lot of people did think he was going to lose that fight against Phil Dawes, who's no joke. As Curtis rides a 6-fight win streak into this fight against Brandon Allen, so it's a pretty quick turnaround for Phil. Very quick turnaround for Chris Curtis. I mean, UFC 268 was last month. Yeah, I mean, basically a month. Now, granted, he didn't take too much damage in that fight from what I recall, so maybe that's a good thing about it. And the fight did end in the first round, so I guess it makes sense if you're going to return a fight. If you barely take any damage and you get first round not finished, then might as well make a quick turnaround. Try to get as many paychecks as possible because Christmas season's coming up, and obviously, gotta buy gifts and shit like that, stuff like that. Excuse my language. But Brandon Allen is not exactly going to be a push show either for Chris Curtis. Like I said, I mentioned his record. He is coming off he has won, I believe, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 of his last 10 fights. The only fight he lost was to Sean Strickland back in November 2020 by TKO. But other than that, he's won 9 of his last 10 fights. So the guy he's a lot of confidence. He's got a lot of submission victories. He's even won by ankle lock against Carl Robertson back in UFC 261 in Jacksonville, which I didn't know you can win. I didn't know that was possible to win with ankle lock. Wow, I mean, Kurt Angle must be very happy with that. For those of you pro wrestling fans, you would definitely get that reference. But yeah, like I said, right now, I mean, this is. I mean, Chris Curtis could be. I mean, it's interesting to see if Chris Curtis can stuff takedowns from Brandon Allen and get out of some submission positions. Considering if you're Brandon Allen, you want to get to the ground and try, submit the guy. Especially considering Curtis is more of a striker and more of a stand-up guy than really a grappler. I mean, that's something. If I'm granted, even though Chris Curtis is only lost by 1 submission, but still, if I'm Brandon Allen, I'll at least try to use that as my game plan. At least try to see if I can take him down and submit him. Not saying he's going to, but it's possible. So that definitely should be a fun fight for the first fight of the main card. This prelim fight's got a lot of recognizable names. I mean, you got Jake Matthews going against Jeremiah Wells. That should be an interesting fight. You have Lorenzo Manafield, who is a guy that a lot of people really like. Including my co-host Chef Dan. If you remember our last stream before Thanksgiving, we kind of somewhat previewed this card a little bit, but he was really high on. He really seemed to enjoy Alonzo Manafield. Really got excited to see on this card. He's going against William Knight. Now Manafield definitely is a guy who's got a lot of power. 8 11 victories are by knockout TKO. So I mean, this is a guy who definitely. And this guy who's definitely got excitement. I mean, he tends to knock guys out. He even finished on Paul Craig back in 2019. So, if you know anything about Paul Craig, he's been on a roll. He's in the top 15 rankings. But it'd be interesting to see how he does against Jeremiah Wells. Not Jeremiah Wells. William Knight. Excuse me. That should be. That could be a potential fun fight in the prelims. Considering William Knight. I don't know why I'm confusing the two. That makes no sense. My apologies there. William Knight has 9 victories by KO TKO of his 10 victories. 9 of his victories are KO TKO. So they both got power in the hand. So somebody's getting knocked out in that fight. I don't know who, but someone's getting knocked out. Hopefully. hopefully it's not like in Gano Derek Lewis situation. They both respect their power. Each other's powers too much, or Alexander Rakic and Thiago Santos fight where it's just little action. Hopefully that's not the case. I mean, probably not, but still, it's a possibility with two powerful guys going against each other. You also got Mickey Gall against Alex Morono in this card. You got 𝐓𝐡𝐞 fighting against Vincent Morales. So, you got some recognizable names. Cheyenne Buys against Molly Martin in this card. So there's a lot of guys, a lot of people that, if you're a UFC fan, especially a diehard fan or guy that follows it closely, names that you definitely recognize in this card. Definitely a lot of names that you definitely want to pay attention to. And also, Manel Kape playing this card, going against 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠. Ooh, that's not an easy name to pronounce. 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠. Try saying that 5 times. And Manel Kape is definitely a guy who's got a lot of excitement. A guy who's been a very exciting fighter outside UFC and rising in Japan, and also who's come out with victory in his last UFC fights. They're going 0-2 in his first 2 UFC fights. He finally got a victory in the UFC. Now he's going against, he's going against 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠, which does not look like an easy fight for him. Especially since 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠's got 7 victories by KO, TKO, 6 decisions also. And he's come out with victory against Jerome Rivera by submission guillotine choke. Now, granted, before that he was 0-2 in his first 2 UFC fights. So the UFC journeys are very similar, basically. Lost the first 2 UFC fights, didn't win their 3rd UFC fights. So this should be interesting what happens here. Can Manel Kape keep winning and and prove to people why he had a lot of hype going to the UFC, especially after his performances in Rising in Japan where he was just TKOing guys left and right, knocking dudes out, or is 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 gonna go out there and showcase his skills and take some of the hype that Manel Kape has still away from him and go out there and get a victory. It was, maybe potentially, maybe finish Manel Kape possibly since half of his victories, 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 are by TKO KO. We shall see. That's the beautiful thing about MMA. It's the most unpredictable sport in the world. You never know. Well, guys, you might think one thing happens, then another thing happens. That's what makes MMA so beautiful. It's unpredictability. That's what you love about it. And also this UFC card, Rob Font versus Jose Aldo. Let me just double check to make sure. I know it's 10 o'clock, but I just don't know it's on ESPN or ESPN Plus. Let me just check to play it safe. Hang on, give me one moment. I don't know why I apologize for this little delay and waiting for you guys. Well, not delay, but you guys have to sit here and hear some silence for the meantime. I'm trying to figure out if it's on ESPN itself or ESPN Plus. I don't know why it's not telling me. Okay, it's on ESPN and ESPN Plus. Okay, that's what it is. The main card starts at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and 7 p.m. prelims is when the prelims start Eastern time. So it's basically like a pay-per-view, basically, in terms of the time when it starts, which kind of makes sense because somewhat makes sense, somewhat. Although if you're an East Coast person like me, you prefer it to start a little earlier. But I guess I see why they're doing it because next week they do have the big pay-per-view in Vegas. Oliveira and Poirier, which, man, what a fantastic fight that's gonna be. And we'll definitely break that down next week for sure. Break down that pay-per-view card, the last of the UFC this year. But anyway, thank you guys for watching this stream of mine. Sorry Chef Dan couldn't make it, but he'll be back next week. Like I said, we enjoy having Chef Dan here. His energy, his passion for the sport is fantastic. His knowledge. I mean, Chef Dan is an incredible host, and I can't wait to have him back. But but thank you guys for watching me in the stream. Thank you guys for listening to us, whether it be on podcasts, whether it be Anchor FM, Spotify, Podbean, Reason FM, or Buzzsprout. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you guys for watching us on YouTube. Thank you guys for watching this channel as we try to grow 2,000 subscribers. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we can do that. That'd be pretty awesome. But we shall see. Don't forget to share and like the video. Share and like the video and share on all social media platforms. And hopefully these fights deliver, which I think they will. And like I said, watch the prelims also, because I think these prelims, especially this prelims, might deliver. I mean, the prelims, tend to deliver at times, but this prelims, especially, I don't know why. Something tells me this one in particular is gonna really shine through. I don't know. It's just a hunch. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. You go, man, Austin, you got me all hyped up for nothing. Hopefully that's not the case, but at the same time, I think these prelims are definitely gonna be pretty freaking great. Anyway, until next time, I'll see you guys, and have a good day, good night, stay safe, and like I said, Saturday can't come quick enough. Well, actually, Friday night can't come quick enough, because I do want to see that Horiguchi and Hedges fight. But yes, we'll talk to you next time, and until then, we are. Hang on, let me just get this ready. Until then, we'll see you next time. Have a good day, good night. Sorry for repeating myself several times there at the end, but we'll see you next time. Have a good day, good night, and until then, peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are